I am too. Hi, boys and girls. We're all very nervous today. This is the weather report for February 6th. I am 25,599 days old today. So you know what happens tomorrow. My birthday. 5,500. No, 25. Can you guys hear that? No, you can't hear that. That's good. Because I forgot to fucking mute that shit. Okay. Anyway, so tomorrow's big birthday. 25,600. Oh my God, look what showed up. Look who's here. Hell, almost anybody will come in here. Okay, so what's happening? So last night, Standing for Truth did a Independent Origins testable predictions.
Oh my God, Danny's here.
I know, it's horrible. I have not had a chance to listen to too much of this. He had a document. I'm really struggling today. Help!
What's the name of this document, and where can we get it?
He linked it early on, and it's a Google Doc. And I'm pretty sure. How do you link a Google Doc? And you just, yeah, okay. I think I can just link it. Let's take a look at it, because he linked it in public chat, so I'm guessing it's a public doc. And it has a refutation of Dr. Dan, I think is what the document is, something like that. Nope, that's my Google Docs. That ain't gonna work. Shit, it's just Google Docs.
So is this supposed to be some sort of scientific paper document, or?
Debunking Dan. Here it is. I got it. So ignore that one. That's just Google Docs. This is called, it's a scientific paper. It's really well formatted. It's called Debunking Dan is the name of it. I think it's, it wasn't published in, I don't think it was published in a mainstream journal. I don't know. Maybe it has. Hard to say. You want to take a look at it. I linked it in chat. Hi, Dan. Danny boy. Danny boy. Let's see. Video file. Share screen. Are you guys like really quiet today? Or I mean, normally you're all fucking talking over.
Well, hey, how are you? I'm sorry, I couldn't find I have so many tabs. I lost the tab for the stream.
I mean, you told me, you told me I kept interrupting Scott, so I figured, I'd shut the fuck up for once.
Yeah, but that was like backstage. It's time to banter, boys.
Yeah,
banter, boys.
You don't air your laundry about what happened backstage.
Oh,
and on front stage, man.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That was supposed to be private.
Well, it wasn't even that. Fine. You know what, Danny? Danny, I know. Danny,
hi, Danny.
You alive?
Yeah, he is.
He's muted.
He muted himself as he should.
Muted.
Standing for Truth.
Oh,
I lost my tab again.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah. What's up? What's up, Midnight?
How are you doing, Fox philosopher?
I'm doing well. How about you, Midnight?
Peachy.
Yeah, I'm not vindictive. I mean, the worst thing I'm gonna do is like probably talk about to other people about you or something. But like, I don't really hold grudges. So
hang on a second.
True, except for maybe like Leo and maybe one other like a couple, like the people that normally get y'all are hyenas. Y'all are hyenas. Y'all are hyenas.
Are you intentionally repeating that? What the
No,
fuck?
he was stuttering.
Hyenas.
Hyenas. Anyway, we are demonic hyenas, as you've noticed, and you have just come into our fucking lair. Yeah, that's pretty good, Danny. So did you catch any of the stuff that Stanley did last night? His refutation of Dr. Dan? Oh, Dr. Jensen. Oh, my God.
Are you talking to Scout?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, I don't keep up with empirical claims. I never debate empirical stuff.
Oh, okay. That figures. Anyway.
Only conceptual.
Well, then you started talking to him about morality, and holy shit, you actually sounded pretty confused.
Did I?
But yeah. Well, okay, the confusion was they were talking about now they have a whole different set of words for desires. For them, desires is like this carnal body thing, but they also mean your mind. And for you, you were saying that I think desires were just rational things or something like that.
Right.
And you guys were Argatha, who I think is some kind of an Amish person, right? He's really, really rigid. I mean, has an extremely rigid morality and biblical morality. He was bound. They were trying to understand what you were telling them, and it ended up coming off as very confused. That it was very hard for you to communicate with them what you were talking about. So anyway, that was my impression. So, but I never got to the point where you guys resolved.
Are you going to try to support it, or are you just saying that's how it seems?
Try to support what?
The fact that like I was confused or something.
No,
Okay.
just to comment. I don't think you. Well, you actually said that there were a lot of things that you didn't know and you didn't understand, which, but it's the conversation was
not about
confused
morality
in words. Okay.
I have a pretty, I think my moral framework is pretty solid.
You did say that. Yeah. But then you had a hell of a time explaining it to the Christians. But do
It's
you
hard-
understand? Do you understand why you had
it or
trouble?
no?
What's that?
Did you understand it?
Not really. No.
Okay. Well, I try to make the claim or the point that like, look, if I just tell you that I define moral as motivational, then if someone is motivated to do X, it's moral. But the thing is that they consider that to be a reductio ad absurdum, meaning
Yeah.
like, but I don't see how it would. I don't see the argument, right? That okay, if someone's motivated to kill a baby, that's what they should do. That's moral. But I have a reason to stop them, and that's when I say it's wrong or they shouldn't do it. I'm expressing my reason or my desire to prevent that from happening or something.
Okay, in order to contribute to the conversation, I'll ask, why the fuck would anyone think killing a baby is moral?
Well, they might.
Wait, I just said it, right? If you define moral as motivational, then it follows necessarily, right?
Yeah, that anything that you do, you're motivated to do, and it's moral, and that's what
Right.
you end up doing. So
Now, if you want to define moral in some other way, I'm fine to entertainment, and they did, right? It was a long conversation. They said moral is that which God commands, or the good is that which God commands. But there are huge problems with that. The first thing is that they want to say God is good, but they don't want to say God obeys his commands, right? So they're using they're equivocating when they say God is good, right?
Yeah.
And the second that no one's disagreeing that if God were to exist, he'd have commands, right? But the disagreement is whether it's good, right?
there was one part in there where Argatha said something that really struck me, and he said that you don't accept man as a failure and God as the father, or the how the hell did he put it? Do you remember when he said that? Except you don't accept man as a failure and God as the savior. God as a savior, or Jesus as a savior.
I didn't understand that. Did you understand that?
That is very much at the core of fundamentalist Christianity. The idea that we are failed creatures and we are pathetic, failed creatures, and we are degenerating as you speak.
I understand. What I don't understand is how when I asked what he meant by moral, what is that? That's just going to beg the question as to what failure means. Because presumably immoral expresses a failure.
Yeah. So they see us as, failing, immoral, sinning of the flesh, anything of the flesh. And of course, right away, they started talking about, looking at a girl. And that is just, the most horrible thing to have a sexual urge. And then they go on and they talk about how the Father will save you. And then he also went on to talk about how important it was that the Father created you, so he gets to tell you what the rules are. So they compared it to like you were hired by Amazon and you went to the warehouse and you were mucking around, not doing the right things, and the boss, who is God, would fire you. I mean, that is very much the core of their mindset, which is.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but what that does, and I don't know what. There's so many ways to respond to that. It's just incredible. But one of the responses that I did not give, that I'll say here, is that that's not objective anymore. That's institutional, right?
Well, other than philosophy, what do you think of that as a as a way to live your life, or as basically a mindset? What do you think of that?
It just depends on who you are. Some people might benefit from that. Maybe people don't. I don't know.
Really, you think there are human beings that would benefit from thinking that they're failures?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we are so far off. Okay, that's cool. So, Andrew, are you going to come in, Andrew?
Well, failure prompts correction, prompts progress. Right.
Well, yeah, and but no, that it goes beyond that. No, it's okay. Thinking that you have failed at something is one thing, but thinking that you are a failure, that it's a noun that applies to, or a description that applies to your entire life.
Well, their view is more nuanced than that, right? It's that everyone has failed.
Is
Human
it?
beings are they are defined as failures with respect to the law, but then God kind of rescues you from your failure. And I don't see why that necessarily would cause mental tension in someone's psyche. Now it could, right? But I'm saying there are a lot of people that are actually inspired by that in a good way, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Andrew coming to change the topic to some empirical dispute. So go ahead.
Yes, Andrew. What did
Science
you think?
rules.
What did you think of Standing for Truth's thing that he put up last night? Because I didn't watch it, and it looks like you did. You were out in chat.
Yeah, I was in the room with him.
Oh, you were. You were actually there.
Yeah, I was talking with this guy. I think his stream name is In His Image.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
His name's Emery. So
Yeah.
we had a fun back and forth there.
Yeah. So, what was it? What were your impressions? What were the topics?
Well, the part I was in, we were talking about nested hierarchies again.
Okay. What do they think of that? They accept the hierarchies back to the ark, right?
I think so.
Okay. And they stop accepting them there.
Yes.
And Erica, was it Erica that said that's like accepting gravity up to 6 feet and then you stop? That sort of
Yeah,
thing.
I think so.
I think that was her point. So accept hierarchies up to the ark. And they would accept a molecular analysis of hierarchies. I'm not, I could know more about phylogenetics than I know, but I know how they take sets of genes and you compare them, the nucleotides, and you find the differences and you count the differences and you run it into an engine and you figure out the tree from that.
Right. That's one method. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's actually the simplest method, I would say.
yeah. What are the other ones?
So that one would be called a distance method, which actually recently I've gotten some further emails on phylogenetics, but apparently there isn't much a distinction between distance methods and what we would call normal, quote unquote, phylogenetic methods like parsimony and whatnot.
Yeah.
The difference is that in distance methods, you align the sequences, and I guess, he said compose it into a distance matrix. So I'm guessing like you count the number of differences across the sequence and kind of cluster them together. Whereas you don't do that with like parsimony or likelihood, for instance.
Okay.
So they're subtly different. They both produce phylogenies, and distance methods like a neighbor joining are actually extremely fast and are actually pretty accurate given certain circumstances. Like they're good approximations, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're pretty hard to argue with.
Yeah.
So particularly. Okay, so do you know anything about the choice of sequences, basically? The choice of sequences is going to make a difference. What in the hell is that?
Is that
Apparently,
COVID
was about to get wiped away by a tornado or something.
Oh, Amber Alert.
Oh, Aaron,
Shit.
what were you saying, Sweet? Before it rang?
Before the Amber Alert,
Yeah.
we're looking for a white Grand Cherokee. Anyway, it's always an SUV. What the fuck? Anyway.
In Texas, it's always a Ford 150.
Oh, really? Wow. I was an SUV here. Oh, I have a relative that was involved in a case in Texas, in Austin. It's pretty interesting. One of those cases. Yeah, he went a little crazy. Anyway, what the hell was I saying? Oh, okay. So choice of sequence. Like you can take a gene, or you can take a set of genes, or you could run different phylogenies on genes, or you could take non-conserved sequences. And they're never, it's hard to find really good information. So I'm going to have to start running my own, my own hierarchies. But the non-conserved conserved sequences are the ones I think that could potentially give you the most information.
Right.
Have you run anything on that?
I don't think so. One thing I did want to mention about the chat was like you were talking about the using different sequences or genes, for instance, which we both know that gene trees are different than species trees. And if you take multiple genes, then you're going to generally get a more precise result, right, than just taking one gene or another gene, because genes are essentially random. And so me and Emery in his image, I'll just call him Emery. We were having this discussion, and one of the things he said, and I truly don't want to misrepresent him, because I generally had a good chat with him. He was very respectful. But like one of the things he said, because I mentioned the high statistical significance of these trees, like I tried to explain how we look at all possible trees for a set of taxa, right? So like for free taxa, for instance, there are 4 possible trees. For more than 20 taxa, there are more possible trees than atoms in the visible universe. And it keeps growing from there. And so I was trying to explain to him how if there are trillions of possible trees, basically, how do we keep converging on the same one?
Yeah, and they appeal for going back beyond the arc. They'll instantly appeal to common designer, and they'll say that God just decided to use that particular gene. But the problem with that is that you can have mutations in genes across species, and those genes create proteins that do almost exactly the same function as each other. So why are there mistakes? But then when you look at non-conserved regions, it's even worse for them, because you would have to think that God started out he had a gene, so he's got the nucleotides lined up for that gene, and then he's got the intron in the middle, and he is like, okay, we need some space between the two exons. So he's going to scribble in something, right? So he writes down something, and then he takes that for the next species and he copies it, but he makes a few mistakes. And then he copies it and makes a few mistakes. Why does he make mistakes? Because they don't matter, right?
Right.
So they come back and say, oh no, they all matter. We just haven't discovered how yet. So they appeal to, we haven't discovered how yet. So I think that pretty much describes their entire argument, and it seems a little weak to me.
Right. Yeah. Or to give another example, when I was mentioning these convergences of all possible trees, and trying to say, okay, why doesn't creation explain this? Basically, he was talking about, creationists haven't done the same math, like they haven't tested their models or something like that. It didn't make much sense to me, because like if you're gonna say your model is correct, why haven't you tested it or used the same phylogenetic methods to get the same or what you think are different results? So
yeah,
that was kind of confusing.
Oh, Danny is back. So who left? Oh, Midnight left.
Yeah,
I thought you left, Danny.
Why did Midnight leave?
I have to go around 3:30. Just letting you know.
Oh, so I thought we were going to have a talk after this.
I have to spend. Did we say that?
We did.
I got girlfriend commitments.
Girlfriend problems. Well, that's
Yeah, we're gonna go see Lord of the
that's
Rings
just,
together.
just your flesh having evil desires.
I don't know what you mean by evil.
Didn't you listen to those Christians at all last night? Did you not learn anything from them?
I really don't know what they were saying either.
Okay. They were trying to save your goddamn soul, Danny.
Well, I understood that they were trying to help me.
Yeah. They're very helpful. Helpful Christians are kind of a thing. I found one. Somebody who sent me the Facebook link. Oh, Top Dog. Top Dog sent me a really interesting Facebook link. It was pretty cool. Oh shit! Sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. I don't understand why it keeps having trouble playing this video. I think because people keep flagging it maybe and saying, no, don't ever play this video for anyone. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Speed, do you mind giving me 1 sec? My family
Yep.
just came back with groceries, and I want to make sure they're doing okay.
Oh, okay. And then we can get back to what you were saying.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
your
All right, I'll be
conversation.
right back.
Yep. So Danny, he's gone.
Yeah, what's up?
So do you understand that what we were just talking about is why Erica said nothing makes sense? Nothing explains DNA more than heredity. That's what she meant by it. But we were talking about how these sequences change from one generation to another, or across different species, and how DNA only makes sense. We're talking about nucleotide sequences. You understand that?
What's the claim? I'm not so sure that that DNA has to do with heredity.
That nothing makes more sense of DNA than heredity.
The word
Okay,
sense there just means like what?
What she could have said is nothing makes more sense of the exact sequences we find in DNA than heredity.
I don't know what sense. I mean, sense just that seems like agent dependent or something.
Seems what?
Agent dependent.
Sense?
Yeah.
We're humans talking to each other about sense. We're making sense to each other. So we're trying to explain something to one another.
The point is that if I say something like, I don't know, that abstract objects don't engage in causal relations, that might make sense to a lot of people in the room, but it might not make sense to others. And it just kind of depends on how you use the terms.
Wow, Danny. Wow.
Leo.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, I just got out of a really bad discussion on Twitter with people that just don't know anything about epistemology. I really wish that before you can call yourself an atheist, you have to read at least some introductory material on epistemology and doxastic logic. I think that should be a requirement for being an atheist. I really do.
Oh,
Where's the
I-
bureau
I
we
guess
go
you might
to
not be an
certify
atheist,
ourselves as atheists?
I don't know.
Hey, it's Nathan Artwork. Nathan Artwork is in the chat.
What did you say though, Andrew?
Oh, I was just saying, I guess I'm not an atheist then.
Well, no, because I get so many atheists that are like, well, atheism is just a lack of belief. And then I cite from like over a dozen academic sources. 2 of them are the world's most foremost peer-reviewed philosophical journals, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy and the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, that say, well, it's not that that's the wrong definition, because definitions for words aren't really right or wrong. That's just not how language works. But if you want to talk about what the normative utilitarian definition is, no, atheism is the proposition that gods don't exist. It is the positive epistemic belief that there are no gods. And then they just have no response, so that they claim you're committing fallacy after fallacy. Or you get them that say, well, no, that's anti-theism. And then I have to sit there and explain that anti-theism, that's just flat out false. Anti-theism does not deal with the epistemology of theism. It deals with the axiology of theism, which are not the same thing.
I love when atheists fight about, how they believe.
They're so fucking bad at philosophy and epistemology. It's laughable. It genuinely is laughable.
Is there an obligation when you become an atheist to get a degree in philosophy and totally understand all of that?
That's
Well,
not what
no,
Leo's
but-
saying. Wait, that is so uncharitable. Oh my God. That's not what Leo's saying.
Fuck you, Danny. I'm talking to Leo.
Leo,
No,
you
he's
understand
right.
that.
That's not what I'm
That's
saying. What
so
I'm saying is that
unfair.
if you're going to sit there and bitch and complain about what a word means yet disagree with every relevant academic source that is cited, and then just claim, well, that's an argument from authority when it's literally not. That is due to the fact that you do not, you just straightforwardly don't understand epistemology. You just don't.
Okay, so what you're saying is that they're talking about epistemology and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They shouldn't do that. They should just say, I'm an atheist and I'm not going to have that conversation with you.
Because
So,
what they do is essentially what they're doing is redefining atheism as non-theism, which then means that it's there's no way for us to make any meaningful distinction between all of the different subcategories of non-theism, like apatheism, igtheism, ignosticism, agnosticism, theological non-cognitivism, even pantheism in many academic fields is considered a subcategory of non-theism. But none of those are atheism. None of those are atheism.
Yeah, I would actually. Sorry, go ahead.
It almost seems like there's something clubby going on, where they want you to belong to a certain club and elect a certain, like, I guess what do they call it? The new atheists, or maybe the ACA? It's almost like there's a club.
And that's what it is.
That's a pejorative, right? New atheism is pejorative, but. No, I actually.
No, it wasn't before.
It is now. I didn't.
Yeah. Well, not the new atheists.
I would consider it a soft pejorative. Like, it's not really something that is gonna like hurt you, but it's a term defining atheists who are atheists, but don't seem to really understand anything about the theism versus atheism discourse and what atheism should be taken to mean, how that relates to theism. They're the kind of, well, lack theist, religious people are stupid, Jesus never existed kind of atheists that just are seemingly they're only an atheist in the sense of the fact that they think it's kind of like a fad. They don't actually understand any of the philosophy behind it, any of the arguments in favor of it or against it, the nuances that exist there. That's what new atheism to me is taken to mean.
I actually prefer the label of non-theist, but the problem with these labels for me is outside of philosophical discourse, it becomes tribalistic, right? They're very useful. And when you're corresponding with another thinker, right, to try to communicate the views, right? But outside of this kind of discourse, it literally just becomes like some kind of, like what Speed is saying, like a club, like a tribe.
I think there's a reason for this, and what it is, there's this challenge between the two camps, basically, that the believer will say, oh, you got to prove that God doesn't exist, or you got to prove. They're all about proving things, and the atheists, like on the ACA, they will buckle down on a position which I think is very fair, and they will say, I just don't believe because I don't have sufficient reason to believe, and that's the end of the story. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to adhere to a hard atheist position like Speed of Sound does. To talk about myself in the third person, they can say, I just don't have a reason to believe. And I think that's a very valid reason.
Well, it doesn't bestow justification. You're just explaining.
Well, you don't have to.
I agree.
Why do you have to justify it?
No, I agree.
Nathan's here.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can all hear you.
Oh,
and
wow.
We haven't heard you for
for
so long. I can't even remember who the fuck you are. Who are you again?
Like right now, I just had one of them, and I like him. I like the guy. It's Randolph Richardson. He's a great guy, great to get along with. But he just told me that the SCP is an opinion piece. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy is the world's foremost peer-reviewed philosophical journal. Yeah, he just said it's an opinion piece. No. Well, it is the world's foremost peer-reviewed philosophical journal. It is not an opinion piece.
On my short-term papers, I'm allowed to cite anything from the SCP without question.
Exactly. So I have heard that from other philosophers that there are instances where you are allowed to cite from there because it's not an opinion.
How is the IEP received?
Well, it is also a peer-reviewed philosophical journal. Oh, you're asking Danny, my bad.
It's decent, but I don't. I mean, first of all, in academia, primary sources, right? So the SCP is like kind of like your emergency, like I need a citation for this, right? and it's generally it's accepted, like it's like bears the minimum, but it's generally frowned on because you've not done the work to get whatever such and such's view from their primary source. But the IEP, I mean, I haven't really, so we don't really talk about the SCP that much. So much as it is it's like the trustworthy Wikipedia for philosophy,
Can you see that at the top of the screen that I'm sharing? The
Yeah, I see it. The IEP, SCP. IEP is pretty good. I mean, I've read.
Yeah.
They have a. I think their article on intelligent design is probably better than the SCPs.
Those are at the beginning of my pick list for where to go. For I don't even have the NCBI on there yet. I don't know.
Hey, Nathan, artwork. I had stepped away. I didn't see you come in.
Yeah, Nathan, where the hell have you been?
I've been here all around.
He's been seeing other live streams.
You've been cheating on us.
Never that. Never with the live. I've been on Discord a lot, actually.
Oh my God, you
He's
poor
been
man.
conversing with the Wizard of Quantum Physics.
Wait, what servers, Nathan?
Can I? Veritas, the politics servers.
Have we talked, Nathan? I'm not so sure.
I don't think we've spoken.
Okay.
Could I
Thank
clarify
God,
something
Nathan.
about the term?
Thank God.
Veritas.
My name on Discord is
Have I
my
ever
name
been there?
Nathan. My name on Discord is
No, I
Sprungy. I don't know if you've seen that name around.
Oh, I heard. Yes,
And
I've heard
Veritas.
you. I've heard your name got mentioned as
Oh.
well too. Yes.
Oh, okay, nice.
By the way, just a quick correction for Cafe. I never once said that pantheism is a type of atheism. I said that technically, in philosophy, pantheism would be classified under non-theism.
Yeah.
And I can explain why too.
Yeah, I think so. Panentheism.
Well, I think
It's a little
panentheism would also be a form.
Yeah. Do you have a good? Blurb that you can do on the difference between
Form
panentheism and pantheism,
Yes,
Leo? Leo's blinging. Leo's
Basically,
blinging on me.
I've always heard it like pantheism,
No, I'm not. I'm
God
right here.
created everything, and panentheism is God is in everything. So I don't know if that helps. But
What was the former one you said, Scott?
everything is God for pantheism,
Okay.
and then
No, it's
panentheism.
somewhat trivial.
And God
So
is
pantheism is the idea that the universe is God, but not God in any classically theistic sense, which is why it's
Right.
considered a form of non-theism.
There are,
Panentheism is the idea that God supervenes the universe and the universe is contained within God. Panentheism.
okay. Okay. So
there are both-
before you go, Dak, and you're next. Dak is next. Okay.
okay,
Nathan.
I'm waiting.
Nathan, are you not my artist anymore?
No, of course I'm yours.
Hast thou abandoned me?
No. I'm back strong too.
Good.
I've been doing a lot of
Thank you,
doodling for Black History Month as well too.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you should come here and pimp yourself now and then.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't- What
Put
has
your link-
happened?
Put
I don't
your
know
link
who to-
in chat. All
who
that
to
stuff.
draw. I don't know who to draw or what's been happening recently as far as like
Give me just a
the
second.
ongoing battle between the theists.
I had to pay $9 yesterday for some artwork.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's bad.
I know.
We need to have a session where we give it like 15 minutes to a half hour to have Nathan show off some of his artwork.
What I'll
Yes.
do on the
That would
next
be a
stream,
good segment.
I'll just draw on the next stream.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah.
Yeah, that big problem thing I had with it said big problem, the icon I had yesterday, I think. I paid $9 for that.
Oh, that's too much money. I charge free.
Yeah.
I see your drawings on Black History Month stuff. This is pretty good, Nathan.
Oh, you see
Okay.
it?
Okay,
Yeah.
Dak wanted to come in here because, and Dak, there are time limits.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll try to do what I can.
Okay.
First off, there are both theistic and atheistic forms of pantheism. There are people who believe that the universe is God, and they believe that it's a theistic God, like the kinds that show up in the stories and things like that, and that that those are just avatars of the universe.
Yeah.
So there are theistic forms of pantheism. There are also atheistic forms of pantheism. So knowing that someone is a pantheist doesn't tell you whether they're a theist or not. Generally, when you have a modifier word, it indicates a subcategory of the word that's being modified, generally, but not always. For example, non-theist is not a subset of theist. Atheist is not a subset of theist. Anti-theist can be a subset of theist, because atheist actually is two different words, or two different phrases rather, because anti-theist is two different words, because the phrase, the prefix anti has two distinctly different meanings, one being against and the other one being the opposite of. So if you mean anti-theist in the sense of the opposite of theist, or anti-theism in the sense of the opposite of theism, then what you're saying is you're not only an atheist, but you're as far from being a theist as you can possibly be. If you mean anti-theism in the sense of being against theism, or anti-theist in the sense of being against the beliefs of theists, generally speaking, that means that you're against theism, or that you're against the God of some particular theism. So again, there's a distinction between two very different meanings, even within that one meaning. And so the thing is, the English language is complicated. Languages in general, human languages, tend to be very complicated, and they're flawed. And there is a way of distinguishing between opposites of certain kinds, and then there are lacks of ways of distinguishing between certain other opposites. The word atheism actually does mean lack of theism. The prefix a indicates a lack or an.
Well, actually, when
The prefix a indicates a lack or an absence. However, in usage, it can end up meaning whatever the user decides it means. And yes, people do use it to mean anti-theism, but that's because anti-theism of one of two types is a subset of atheism. The other type is not, because if you're a theist who's against God, and you believe in that God, then you're not an atheist, but you are an anti-theist.
Okay, what is the etymology of that word? I mean,
Which word?
Didn't Steve McRae make a case for the A meaning something else?
Well, no,
in
the A is a Greek prefix meaning not, or the negation of. That is what it originally meant. The word is
Not
atheos in Greek, and it meant, translated into English, and I have friends who have done actual studied Greek.
Not as in the absence, not as in the opposite.
My friend Julie is studied Greek, and I asked her this. The word atheos in Greek meant godless man. It was used for defining heretics, people who did not just lack belief. They thought gods were bullshit, that fake, false. They didn't exist.
Not
yes,
true.
Yes,
people,
that is true.
It was people who believed. It was people who believed in different gods.
That it's true. No,
right.
That's not.
And it was people who believed in a different god. They were calling them heretics.
Yeah, that's what a heretic meant back then. They did not believe. They did not believe that gods were real. Gods were not real. They were false. They were fictional. They were fake. That is what the word means. In philosophy, that is what the word means. I can cite over a dozen academic sources, 2 of them being the world's foremost peer-reviewed philosophical journals. Atheism, normatively, in the academic sense, is the standardized definition. This doesn't mean it's the only one true correct definition. The standardized academic definition of atheism is the positive epistemic belief that gods do not exist.
Okay, both of you guys, and both of you guys have to learn when to cut it.
Okay,
that's why you overtalk each
what they
other.
refer to,
because now you're overtalking me.
Sorry.
Okay. When you're the reason you two overtalk each other is because neither of you know that you've already made your point, and you don't need to go on and make it 5 different ways.
I was trying to clarify something from the point he was making, because the people they were talking about were not atheists. They were not atheists in the modern sense. They were atheists in the sense of the people back then believing that they didn't believe in a God at all, because they believed in something as a God that those people didn't believe was a God. That's why they were calling them atheists, because they believed in the wrong God, not because they thought that belief in God was ridiculous, but because they believed in a God that those other people thought was not a God.
But that doesn't align
And yes,
with
the word atheist
structure of the word.
predates
It means
atheism
godless.
in that sense.
It means godless man. So you can't
Right.
be godless but believe in different gods, because then you're not godless. It meant
Yes, you
some-
can,
it-
according to
so-
the people who believe there's only one God, and that other God is not it.
But that's not who coined the term atheos. The term atheos existed far before even Judaism was around.
I'm not
And
talking about
it was-
Judaism.
It was used for defining people who did not believe in gods. They thought gods were
It-
fake and false.
right,
And
it
fake
was
and
talking about-
real things.
It was
They were
talking about
heretics.
people who did not believe in the gods that they thought were actually gods. They were godless in those people's eyes because those people did not believe in gods. They believed in false gods.
But that's not what the word meant. Because if you can't be
Yeah,
godless,
that's
but
exactly
believe
what
in
it meant.
God.
Let's
Not
poll the
not,
yeah.
audience.
not
Let's
in the
poll-
Greek.
Okay, polling the chat room. Does anybody give a fuck? Yeah, does anybody care about atheism and theism? It's just like, I don't know. I'm an
I think just
anti-theist.
put a pin in it and come back to it in about 6 months.
Yeah, let's get back. Let's
I
go
was
to our
amused.
reading.
I was amused.
One other thing, if you don't mind, that I wanted to add in there.
About what? Atheism?
Well, what Danny was saying earlier about what in the world is the term?
Putting a
He was
pin in
talking
it?
about no, he was talking about
Oh, sense.
no what in the
Making
world?
sense.
Motivational. When
Oh,
he was
way
using the word
back.
yeah, he was using the word motivational and using it to refer to something as being caused by a motivation. And
Wait, what? I didn't
I'm
say
guessing
those- I
that-
didn't say that phrase.
what's that?
I didn't say anything like that.
No,
wanna
but
say
you were
it
using
good.
it in that way, and
I don't.
and
know
I
what
don't.
that means.
And, huh?
I don't know what you
What
mean.
was it you were? What was
I'm
it you were
saying-
talking about being motivational? I forget what
you
it was.
understand the good. You understand
Morality.
the motivation.
Oh, it was morality. He was
Yeah.
saying morality is motivational, and the way he was framing that is that if morality was motivational, then whatever I'm motivated to do is moral, and that's all I wanted to get at. Is that's not what motivational means. Motivational is
Are you just
is
using a
source
different
of-
definition as I am? You're using a different
it's
definition.
possible. It's possible that the usage that you were using is out there, but if so, I'm unaware of it. In
Okay,
general,
I'm not
motivational
interested in
means
your definition. If there's something incoherent that I said, you can point that out. But I'm not interested in
Okay.
arguing definitions.
I just wanted to say, in general, the use of the word motivation is to mean that something is the use of motivational is to mean that something is a source of motivation, not that it is caused by motivation.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, Dak, Jerry wants to know about your experience on the Otangelo channel. Yesterday, I think it was, right?
Well, there was Otangelo and me and two other guys on there, and those guys were discussing how impossible abiogenesis is because of the fact that that life as we know it now could not survive in the environment of the ancient Earth where abiogenesis would have had to happen.
Oh, you were
And,
talking to Carter.
I'm not sure what their names were, but Top Dog mentioned James Carter, and I think there was one of them was named James, so that's probably that one. If I'm not mistaken, that was the guy that seemed to be very knowledgeable in modern biochemistry. He knew a lot of the details of biochemistry, and you know he was able to make very specific points of how complex modern biochemistry would not have been very stable in that early environment. And I pointed out to him that if you dropped a human being in that early environment, they probably wouldn't live very long. Actually, I asked him how long does he think they would live, and he said they'd probably die almost immediately. My point being that we shouldn't expect modern biology to survive in an environment where primitive biology would have been first getting its start.
Yeah,
Because biology has had time to evolve since then. The ATP synthase, for example, is something that took a long time to evolve. It would have necessarily taken a long time to evolve. We wouldn't expect it to be something that was there at the beginning, and it was being implied by both of them in a sense that it had to have been there from the beginning. And then he actually did clarify that it would be required for complex life. And I went on to clarify that it would be necessary for complex life as we know it now. Because complex life as we know it now has relied on that for a long time. It is not at all required for complex life in general, and it is not at all required for simple life that could have evolved into complex life. But I got muted pretty much every time I disagreed, and
You
I
got
finally
muted?
decided,
of
I
course.
finally decided I wasn't welcome there, so I left.
Okay, so I think Carter was
never mind.
making the case. Carter was making the case that there were all sorts of other chemicals that would have esterified with nucleotides and with amino acids.
Yeah,
and that what that would have competed. And then you made the case. I think, and I think you did it kind of well. You said something like, "Yeah, that's a feature. That's one of the good things about it. There were all these other chemicals." So. And he didn't quite.
Because
they looked at
because
you.
in an early environment without all of that, there would have been competition, but there wouldn't have been competition with modern stuff that wasn't back then.
Right.
So stuff developing back then wouldn't have had to worry about stuff that's around now, keeping it from doing that development.
The thing is, Dr. Carter was really just arguing from incredulity the whole time because, and I'm sure you know this, Doc, but he was saying like, well, I can't imagine how this could have occurred, or, I don't see how this could have occurred, therefore it couldn't, which is textbook argument from incredulity.
Yeah, and I understand him arguing from that side because it seems that he's done an awful lot of study and he knows a whole lot of stuff. So it's probably pretty easy for him to go, well, my ignorance probably, indicates there's some kind of an absence there, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Just for Dr. Dan in the chat, really quick. Dr. James Carter.
Yeah, it's James.
Okay, and can I ask you a quick question, Speed?
Yeah.
James Carter, is he like a James Tour where he doesn't necessarily support ID arguments, but just thinks that there are major problems with abio, or is he like, no, abio is impossible, it had to be God?
He's a creationist. I
Okay.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm
pretty sure everybody there but me was.
Yeah. And Rob Carter, I think, might be a creationist too. I'm not sure. We had to straighten that out. Tour is not. So
No,
he's
Tour's even said that he doesn't like ID. He says he's sympathetic to ID arguments, but he doesn't like them because there's no way for him to test for it, so he can't ever know whether it's true or not. But he says, that being said, I am sympathetic to him, but I can't test for this, so I can't make any statements on it.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them that hang around.
Okay, hold on. I have to address Otangelo. I did not state that James Carter Otangelo is making an argument from incredulity because he's disagreeing with me. In fact, I outlined exactly how he's making an argument from incredulity. The argument from incredulity is committed when one states, well, I don't know how something could happen, therefore it can't happen, which is exactly what he was saying. I directly heard him say it numerous times. He said, well, I don't understand how this could happen. I don't see how this could happen. And then right after that said, so it's not possible. That is by textbook definition the argument from incredulity. Just because somebody's a PhD does not save them from committing fallacies.
Otangelo said that they're PhDs, and because they're PhDs, what about Dr. Dan, asshole?
What about Demeter?
Yeah, what about Dr. Dan, asshole, who SFT treats like in fact, SFT treats Erica and Dr. Dan, the two nicest guys in this community, better or worse than anybody else. And Dr. Dan is PhD. I'm sorry. It's Dr. Dan.
But also for Otangelo, what about Gerald Joyce, who you cited one day, and then when I cited something from him, actual peer-reviewed literature from him that disagreed with a later claim that you made, you disregarded him. So why is it okay for you to disregard PhDs that disagree with you, but then you try to call us out for doing that when we're not actually doing it because they're PhDs, we're doing it because the things that they're stating can be demonstrated to be wrong? Seems like a big double standard there, buddy.
It is.
Yeah, it's the difference. It's the difference between arguing against a point someone made and arguing from authority. I mean, some PhDs don't go around saying, "Hey, I've got a PhD, therefore I'm right."
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this is an aside for Danny. Did you recommend this book to me? Modern Epistemology by Everett and
No, I never recommend. I don't know those. No, I never recommended it. Not saying I don't recommend it. I don't know. I've not read it, so.
It's a good one. It's a really good one. It's a nice introduction to epistemology.
Is it an intro or does it argue for a particular view?
On intro.
Oh, okay, nice. I like
is-
it.
Speed, how much would I have to pay you to send a copy of that to every lack theist that exists on this planet?
Couple thousand. I can get on it. I have to. Oh, wait a minute. No.
What?
I'm going to need 100,000 because I've got to create a nonprofit charity and a distribution network. So, 100
Also, I
grand.
did want to point out, Otangelo said in the chat, Leo, when you talk, I turn my mic down. I don't stand all the BS that you say. So when you are finished, I keep listening to the chat. So let me just demonstrate here his dishonesty. He'll ask me questions or make a statement in direct reference to something that I say. And when I go to respond, he ignores me. That is just,
Yeah.
it's hard to get more intellectually dishonest than that.
But it's been stated many ways before that Otangelo has a problem with not listening.
Oh, of course. That's well known. It's
So we
very-
were talking
Muting-
about DNA.
Muting someone is a good way to not listen to them.
yeah.
It is.
A lot of the creationists do it. Otangelo,
That's-
LPP,
I was-
Praise, and Gavin.
Well, I'm fucking
I
drunk
was very
with my mute
unable to
power.
point out. I was very unable to point out the arguments from incredulity that were happening repeatedly because I was always muted before I got a chance to get there.
Okay, I think they
Well-
would, Andrew. I think they would, Andrew. Let's see what Dr. Dan said. They absolutely do. Yeah, they would count as mutations in the Darwinian sense, I would guess. And Midnight's back. We're no
I
longer
mean,
one.
is that even the real Otangelo? Because it's Otangelo, but it doesn't have a last name on it.
No, it's a
You
real
understand?
one. It is a real one because I block. Well, John blocked him, and I can't figure out how to unblock him because YouTube and
How?
Google
Walk
hide
through
that.
it.
Huh?
I said I walked you through how.
Yeah, but how come I didn't unblock him then?
Because
You-
you must have not actually clicked it.
Can you walk me through it again?
Yes. Go to YouTube Studio.
YouTube Studio. I'm there.
Okay. And then scroll
Oh,
down.
settings.
Yeah, go to settings.
Okay, I
And
unblocked
then
him
go
then.
to and then go to community. And then there should be a hidden users tab. And you should be able to just, if there's a name in there, you should be able to just click the X next to their name and they will be unhidden.
Hidden users. Okay, Angelo Grosso, Otangelo G, Smoky Saint, Faithful, Honest, and True. You're not blocked, Otangelo. Your regular count is. I unchecked it. So.
So wait, you blocked Smoky Saint?
Oh fuck yeah!
You know, who hasn't blocked Smokey?
Yeah,
Saint?
who hasn't? What's
why
the
would-
story now?
We want to listen to Stinky. It's a Stinky.
Oh God!
Right,
David Neff-
yeah, he's the worst.
oh,
He's
no.
the worst.
David Neff's going round 3 with Anthony Silvestro. I love how the little group that he works with calls him Dr. Anthony Silvestro. He's a DDS.
He's a dentist.
I mean,
Leo-
it's more than what you can say with Kent Hovind, but still, I mean, come on. He's a fucking dentist.
Okay, Danny and I were talking a little bit about making sense of DNA, and you seem to have gone off on a tangent about what the word sense means. When a scientist or like if I'm a biology teacher and I say I'm going to try to make sense of the Lilly family to you, what would that mean?
I guess if I were to say that to someone, like, let's make sense of X, I'm just talking about let's understand the concept or something.
Yeah. Okay. So Erica's statement was, if you really want to understand the concept of the sequences in DNA, you can't do that without heredity.
Yeah, that doesn't seem. It seems like you can have a concept of DNA and not know anything about heredity.
Well, you could have another concept of DNA as a molecule and not know anything about biology. And you could have a concept of DNA as some icky, sticky stuff that you can get from an egg without knowing anything about any fucking thing.
The point is, it's not analytic.
Not analytic. No, analytic would be making sense of the sequence of DNA. That would be the analytics. That's what
No.
we're talking about.
No. Like,
Oh,
I'll
wait a
give
minute.
you an
Okay,
example.
you're telling somebody who knows genetics that it's not about the sequence.
No, I'm telling
Is that what
someone
you're
who
saying?
doesn't know philosophy with them that they don't know what analytic means, right?
Well,
And
the thing is, philosophy wouldn't really be relevant here. Genetics would.
Yeah.
I'm going to give an example. Do you think you have to understand or have a concept of H2O to have a concept of water?
No.
Right.
Yeah, but we're speaking
They're
about
not,
concepts here.
it's not analytic. So if we're trying to understand what DNA is, right? There's one sense in which, like, we zoom in into the molecule and generate, there's certain predictions that are generated by doing that kind of investigation, but that's not a conceptual analysis of DNA, right?
I don't
A
think that's the
Oh,
point.
what?
I don't think the conceptuality is relevant here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
Speed.
it isn't. Right. Larry.
Wait, are you
got it.
trying to understand the concept of DNA, or are you trying to understand like the causal tendencies of DNA or its makeup or something?
Why don't you tell us what the concept of DNA is?
Well, my concept of DNA involves that it's involved in heredity, right? But I take that to be an accidental feature, right? That it replicates, so it makes copies of itself, that it self-corrects, that that if I were to look into it, I would expect to see various nucleotides, a phosphate backbone, a ribose, right? All that stuff.
Okay. So a molecular biology understanding of heredity in total.
Well, the point is that you can have a concept of such a thing and not know anything about the way it replicates and the way that the role it takes in terms of heredity. So you can have a concept of DNA without people. Did you know that before? I mean, I'm not so sure on the history, so I'm ready to be corrected here. But I believe DNA was like they isolated DNA, not knowing what it was. Right.
True.
But they still had like there was still some kind of phenomenal experiences that formed their concept of DNA, and that is going to be divorced from any kind of empirical investigation of that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The concepts
You're
weren't
dismissed,
tied to
Danny.
DNA at the time, but yes.
Yeah, you're dismissed, Danny.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna read some. DNA is a molecule, and this is going to become the. God damn it, Speed. I was trying to
What?
read that.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
DNA is a molecule, and this is going to become the Danny is pedantic, and everyone else rolls their eyes. Show I'm placing out.
Yeah, he doesn't understand what I said.
We understand. Oh my God! And they're going to use that
Daddy,
shit again.
stop using
You're going
that.
to use that shit again.
If you
Dan, you got
understand
to
what I
stop
said,
that.
if you understand what I said,
I
it wouldn't be-
understood.
Okay, everybody chime in. Who wants Danny to stop saying you
Well,
don't
no, I just
understand me?
wanted to
Stop saying
ask
that.
I just wanted to ask him a clarification. So I want to make sure I'm understanding where he's coming from. So Danny, are you making the statement that one can have an understanding of what heredity is without understanding the mechanistic operations of DNA?
Yeah, something like that. That you can know what
Okay.
DNA is and not know anything about heredity.
Okay.
That's all
And
I'm
I
saying.
would
Well, the
agree
thing
with
is you could have a
what
completely
Speed was
pass backwards
saying.
conceptualization of what DNA is too.
I
Well,
think what
everyone
Speed was saying is understanding heredity from within the framework of DNA.
Well, I'm just
Yeah, it helps to
about
understand
using
DNA.
that term concept and because you can have a concept about anything. It's whether or not it's the concept can be a normative concept. It could be a descriptive concept. Either way, your concept of DNA would be your concept of that thing based on your understanding of it.
Right, everyone's gonna have various concepts. Like a kid doesn't know what H2O is. A 5-year-old is not gonna know what H2O is, right? But they're gonna
Yeah,
know what water is.
But that's the abstract labels that are put on those things to
I don't know what
describe those
Honestly,
things.
I think that's honestly beside the point. What Dave or what Speed was talking about in reference to what Erica said is, there's a way that you can understand heredity without not even knowing that DNA is a thing. But I think what he was talking about, is understanding heredity within the framework of genetics, within the framework of DNA, so that in that sense, you would need to understand what DNA is to understand heredity, if you're understanding heredity from within the framework of DNA and how it works.
Yeah,
And it probably depends a little bit on who you are and what you mean by understanding. And Erica, Dr. Dan, myself, Andrew, most of us here would have the feature that we would be looking at to understand in DNA is why the nucleotides are in the order that they're in. And Erica's statement was based on that. But to come at her and start, from this analytical, philosophical angle,
why I disputed what
is
Erica said?
completely not working. What?
Let
Are
me
you talking? Whoa.
Let me understand. Why did I dispute Erica?
Whoa. Okay, Danny. You know what I was going to say next? I was going to say, Danny. Now you go.
I have a question. Why did I dispute what Erica said?
Why did you what?
Because you're pedantic. I don't know.
Why did I dispute what she said?
Because you were trying to make
creation myths to come on and explain to my view and my reasons for disputing what Erica said. I dare him. Or is he
get really defensive when it comes to what
he can stick to the chat and continue to snipe otherwise.
What did you say? What did you say now? Danny, what did you just say? Who were you yelling at?
All of you. Well, you and then
just so
you, Dr.
Just
Dan.
so you know, Danny, your audio is breaking up a bit.
Well, no, that's because speed is butting in.
Well, no, it's been cutting in and out a little, so it's just one of them.
Yeah, I've been hearing it on my side as well.
Okay,
I've only been hearing it when somebody else is talking.
So there's a reason why I disputed what Erica said. And I'm very interested if you understand that reason, Speed, because that's the center of this entire conversation. And I'm going to wager that you're going to utterly fail at characterizing my view and my reason.
You're so adorable. Seriously. Like, not trying to condescend at all. It's.
Let's go, Speed. Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, I'm curious. Because Speed said that and I don't know the conversation, but Speed said that what was being discussed is the significance of the particular ordering of the base pairs, and if you're talking about understanding DNA or understanding genetics, or if you're understanding heredity, those are all separate things. So,
okay.
So I am curious what it was that was said, and whether or not it was understood right.
Look, and another thing, Speed, is I'm very unfair to characterize my attitude towards Erica, because initially, if you look, I don't know what it is.
I didn't characterize your attitude toward Erica.
You did. You said it wasn't fair for me to approach her that way. When my approach was this, Erica, listen, Speed. I said, Erica, I'm not so sure if we even disagree. I'm not understanding you in this case. I want to have a discussion to make sure there's no disagreement, but I think we might agree in the end. I even told you, Speed, this conversation between Erica and I might last 5 minutes, because all she might have been saying was something like, well, we understand DNA to be explanatory in terms of heredity. And now if she meant that, why the hell would I dispute that? Okay. But then what happened is that when she and I started talking, the hyena pack came in, right? And destroyed the conversation. So you, amongst others, other ankle biters, right, destroyed the dialogue between Erica and I, and now characterizing the whole history as me unjustifiably disputing what Erica was saying when it was all originally to understand what she was trying to say. You're so irritating, Speed.
Hey, well, I had my hand up, but can we talk about the concept of pickle weenie mush?
Yes.
Yes. What?
Did you make it? Did you go make it?
No, I haven't made it yet.
Okay, well, you got to make it, because it's actually called a funeral sandwich.
He's dodging right now. Reply to what I said.
What?
Danny, relax.
I'm not relaxed.
Like
I noticed that.
How old are you?
Speed is one of the most motivated people I've ever talked to.
Oh, hold on, guys.
Okay.
Hold on.
Would anybody mind if I talk with Danny for a bit and see if I can understand what was going on?
100%, but this will take me about 30 seconds. So just to kind of calm everybody's nerves.
But I want
I will be done in 30 seconds. I will be done in like 30
I just want to say, because I just want to get this out.
When I'm done in 30
This is
seconds.
just for humor.
When I'm done in 30 seconds.
I want to compare the abstract concepts, the abstract concept of pickle weenie mash to DNA.
Hold on.
So, okay, what did you say, Jay?
Christ.
Okay,
go ahead, Leo. I'm just picking. I'm trying to make light of the situation.
Yeah, go ahead.
First, you take the dingle pop and you smooth it out with a bunch of schleem. The Schleem is then repurposed for later batches. Then you take the Dingle Pop and you push it through the Grumbo
What
where
the
the
fuck are you
Fleeb is, shut up, where the Fleeb is rubbed against it. It's important. Excuse me. It's important that the Fleeb is rubbed because the Fleeb has all of the Fleeb juice. Then a Shlami shows up and he rubs it and spits on it. Then you cut the Fleeb. There's several Hizzards in the way. You got to get rid of those.
You watch that porno, Julio?
The blast rub against the Chumbos, and the Plubis and Grumbo are shaved away, and that leaves you with a regular old Plumbus, and that's how you make a Plumbus.
And that's porno as Lewis Carroll
That
put it.
is
So hopefully
fucking
that
gold.
calms some nerves with some humor.
That
I
is
love
fucking
No,
gold.
no, like okay, I know Daniel wants to go, but I wanted to say something to Jay. Jay, and people say I have a temper, or I don't know what. No, sorry. If people say I get defensive, Danny.
Look, it's pretty reasonable that if someone's attacking you, right, that you'd be defensive. Why is that surprising?
Well,
Or
okay.
if it seems they're attacking you, either way.
Are you going to
Hey.
sit down when someone's beating you with a stick? Midnight, come on.
Why
Hey,
so
Danny.
serious?
Hey,
These are the
Danny.
hyenas. I'm defending against the hyena pack, Midnight, and you're
Well,
one of
hold
them.
on.
Maybe
How big
Danny?
of a stick and are you beating your wife with it? Because then you might just
Yeah.
have to take that. It just depends.
Interesting
Now,
thing about a
Danny-
hyena pack is that the male sports an erection when the female gets pissed off at the male.
Wow, I gotta
Male
kick this
hyena. Wait. Don't female hyenas have bigger dicks than the males?
They can develop their genitals can actually change to look like male genitalia if there is a female hyena that is the more aggressive. And that's
wow.
how they will show submission to the dominant female of the pack by their genitals engorging like a male hyena's penis.
Engorged.
Interesting. But
kind of like dressing up in a man's suit in a patriarchal human world.
Exactly.
Any rate, can I talk with Danny about this thing that was going on a little bit? Does anybody mind? Danny, do you mind?
Go ahead.
I want
You quit playing that video for me? Thank you.
I was enjoying the video.
Okay.
Fuck that video.
Danny, the main reason why I wanted to have this be a two-way is because, if I just talk, I don't know really what I'm talking about because I wasn't privy to the conversation. I don't know what it was that Erica said, and I don't know what it was that you said. If you could fill me in on enough details that I could say something, then yeah, I could talk.
All right, I'll change my mind. I'll talk to you. So look, I think what happened was she said something like this, something like there's some kind of understanding in biology. I think she used the word principle, and if she didn't, she made a comparison to Newton's law of gravity, right? That DNA has a role with respect to heredity, right? And it wasn't, she didn't use the word role. I forget exactly, but she made a strong claim about tying DNA to heredity. Our understanding of DNA is tied with our understanding of heredity. And I wanted to talk about that because there are cases, right? There are physically possible worlds, right, in which DNA can arise from non-life or non-DNA. And we wouldn't characterize that molecule in terms of heredity if that's all we knew about that event. Okay. So that's just to say there's not a law, right, or some even statistical law about DNA replicating or being passed down to different organisms, right? Now, she might be accepted. I really don't think that at the end of it, Erica and I disagree. I think it's going to be
I don't think so either.
Right. And that's what I wanted to talk about, but then the hyena pack came in, right?
Yeah, it sounds to me like what you're talking about is, for example, well, right now, yeah, all eukaryotes, for example, use DNA as their main source of heredity, and not their only source, because there is epigenetics, but their main source of heredity. And it could have just as easily been RNA. That would have been a much different chemistry because RNA is not as stable, and their evolution would have been much different as a result. But that's one example of something else that could have carried that information of heredity. And there are other things that could have as well. We don't have good examples of them. We know protein is capable of doing that such thing. We don't know how well it's capable of doing it, but it can do it, and therefore it could have been protein as well. And it could have been something that we haven't even encountered. So yeah, it's not required that it must be DNA But as far as what is right now, at least for most of the life that we deal with outside of virus life, if you call it that.
Yeah, I think there's a sense
it
in
tends
which
to
we can
be
make
the end.
sense. There's a sense in which we could have made. Wow, I'm about to say sense twice. I think I could have made sense of what Erica was saying. Where I lost her is when she used the word principle and she compared it to the law of gravity, and that's why my ears perked up, right? Because I don't think they're not to me. There's not. I don't see the analogy, right? But maybe she does, and I wanted to know what those common properties were between a law of gravity and something like DNA is explanatory with respect to heredity.
Yeah, and I think we
Okay,
could
can I-
explain that. But
Can I say
it's-
where I think both sides are? Because
Well,
I
I
could
think
be wrong.
Speed
but-
was saying. I want to know what Speed was.
Go ahead.
No,
Steve.
let Dak go ahead and do it. I just said that I believe that we could explain that to you why we would want to compare it to a law, or why we would use the word law at all. And I think that's kind of where we got lost, and that's why the Hyena Pack came in, because there was a difference in our usage of the word law. But let Dak go ahead and try to clarify.
I can attempt to do that. I think she was probably, and she can speak for herself if she wants to correct me on this, but I think she was probably just referring to the way things currently are now, in the sense that DNA is pretty much ubiquitous in terms of heredity, just like gravity is pretty much ubiquitous in terms of how bodies in space tend to behave around each other. And in that sense, there's definitely a connection that could be drawn, between how we view one and how we view the other. But I think where you're coming from, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that with gravity, as far as we know, it's been that way since long before there's even been life on this planet. As opposed to with DNA, it wasn't necessarily that case in early life, and wouldn't have to necessarily be that way ever for life elsewhere. Am I pretty much on the dot?
I'll take that as
Sorry,
a
can you
yes.
repeat all of that? Thank you.
Repeat the whole thing?
Yeah, start from the beginning.
I can try.
No,
it
no,
won't
just,
come out
I'm just
exactly
kidding.
same.
I'm just kidding. You,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
So does that seem like I'm like pretty much what happened there as far as the misunderstanding or potential understanding?
Yeah, I think earlier you were making a case against what was it, against not fitness, but you're making a case against something else. Where did all this start? Oh, natural selection. And then it came from, so that was the context where that started. And we sort of saw that as an extension of that discussion, basically. The whole what the fuck's his name? Photo
I missed
discussion. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what set the whole thing. What set the whole thing up to become a pile of kindling and a match. So, because there was little understanding of that previous concept, and then we went into this thing about laws, and to all of us, it seemed like you were depicting laws as some sort of like laws with a capital L, and we were talking about laws with a lowercase l. And when you talk about genetics and biology, there's a law of monophily and things like that. But when you look into them, they hardly seem law-like when you start looking into them. So but we call them laws anyway because you got to teach the kids something.
They're observations of emergent properties of complex things. Any rate, I don't know if I was any help there at all, but I think I got as far as I figured I could go on that. So
So if you're
Dak, you have to be more mean so I can feel better about abusing you.
Yeah. So if you were like
I could try. Give me a moment. Damn it, Danny, did you understand me or not?
I see what you're saying.
Okay, there you go.
Well, one can see, but do you really understand?
Yeah.
Kind of like listening and hearing. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Did you notice that I
Intentionally
changed your name,
pedantic.
Jay? Jay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I thought it was appropriate.
I thought it was going to be philosophy of pickle weenie mash, but
Yeah.
It's mush.
The mush,
pickled
mash,
weenie
whatever
whipper?
it is.
Pickle weenie mush.
Sounds like Midwesterners crack is what it sounds like.
Yeah, well, it's better than funeral sandwich.
Yeah,
I
that's
think-
true.
We
I
made
think
an
somebody might.
improvement.
I think some people might have taken it wrong if he'd have labeled you the weenie whipper.
Yeah, we don't want to give Smokey any more material.
Well, if you're Smokey, you'd think everybody here is obsessed with her genitalia.
Smokey.
Yes, Danny, I do favor my friends.
way,
Particularly
I did
Dr.
see-
Dan. Abusing Dr. Dan is not cool around here. I don't know if anybody caught
But-
that or
but-
not. I'm very biased. Okay, you don't.
By the
fucking
way,
be-
Speed,
What?
I did see that says whisper and not whipper. I was kidding. Just so
He's
you
an
know.
absolute jerk.
It's small print, but I did see that.
Yeah, but Danny, you're a fucking jerk too. I mean,
What did I say to? I just called him an asshole one time.
you're
For-
an asshole.
What for saying that he should be uncharitable to people he doesn't like, and that's
Right.
basically the only time that I've ever been like actually called him a name and then I called him a jerk because
when
he doesn't seek to understand me. He doesn't care, right? He admits that, right? And and I think that that's kind of jerkish, right?
Well, no, like okay, I think yesterday. Shall we pull up the chats from yesterday?
Absolutely.
We could do that. I don't know if we can read them, but we could try. Let me see here.
Can you filter chats?
Yeah, I filtered them. Already done. Where the fuck is numbers? I'll tab. What the fuck? Numbers. Oh my god. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Mac, okay, Apple wrote this software and they can't seem to display their windows on their
I'm
own
leaving.
goddamn operating system.
How long? Wait, but I told you I had to leave at 3:30. So what do you want to do this now, or do we have time?
We can do it later. We can do it later.
Wait, hold on. Danny, where are you going? Are the pipes calling?
The pipes are calling. The Rings are calling. The Rings of Power are calling. I'm gonna go see Lord of the Rings in IMAX with my girlfriend because she's never seen them.
Oh, cool.
Really? That's not like that's seriously what you're gonna go do?
Yeah, 3:45 of a ticket to go see
You've never
IMAX Lord of the
seen-
Rings.
She's never
Well,
seen.
I can't-
Ow!
I can't speak for everyone here, but I can say you
I
can
know,
tell her at
right?
least.
Wait,
some of them
why
are
is
new.
Leo getting a headache?
I
Chinese, though.
actually paid Danny's girlfriend to yank his chain at 3:30. Don't you think it's a little odd the time, Danny? I mean, don't you think it's just a little fucking odd?
Look,
Well,
there were
after
two
late-
times. There was 3:45 and 8:15, and I'm talking to Sal at 9:00. So
Well,
What are you and old
Well, it's-
Sally talking about?
Is your girlfriend from
Enjoy the
Canada?
show. I hope you both have a
no,
good
she's
time.
from China. No, see, we're talking about Platonism, mathematical Platonism.
Oh, okay.
I think he wants to relate it to design. I'm not so sure that they relate at all, but at least I'll give a rendition of what mathematical Platonism is.
Sounds like fun.
whoops! What the hell? We show. I was going to display that anyway. Yeah. Don't fuck with Dr. Dan on my channel.
Well, he's effing with me, so
Dr. Dan is the man.
Okay.
I mean, if you say the
sure?
wrong thing about biology, of course he's gonna f with you.
what? Wait,
Sure. Sure he's
say
a man.
one thing that you disagree with me about biology at midnight. One thing.
DNA is neat.
DNA. Yeah, you see, there's the meme.
It's neat. It's neat.
Hey, everyone else seems to enjoy it.
What does anybody name one thing you disagree with me about other than the mind dualism, the dualism stuff?
I disagree that there's a problem with natural selection.
I have
Yeah.
something
Well,
else,
that's a
but
good
it's
one.
not
Okay,
appropriate.
but we
to
haven't
say
talked
live.
about that in so
I
long.
don't see a problem with natural selection either.
But that's not why y'all resent me, right?
I don't
That's-
resent you at all.
Yeah, that's why we hate you.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not talking. Obviously, I'm talking to Midnight, right? And I'm talking to
Oh, okay.
Speed being very critical of my behavior, and I'm talking about creation myths or Dr. Dan's attitude toward I'm boring and I'm just pedantic and all this stuff. I'm responding to those people, right?
Oh, okay.
And you are Dr. Dan. Look what you just said in the early chat that I'm pedantic. You are fucking with me. Don't lie. When you call someone, if I called you pedantic, you don't think I'm fucking with you?
I love the way Danny says "fucking." I'm sorry, I do.
Well, I mean,
you are
Theo,
so fucking with
I
me.
think I've just lost audio
just
completely.
Theo, like I said, there's a reason why I said Danny's adorable, right? Just you see how flustered he gets.
I don't think he's
I
getting that.
know. I know. Yeah.
You're pedantic. You're pedantic.
You are pedantic.
I mean,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I find
didn't
you
spend
rather.
I didn't spend 3 to 4 years arguing over a definition. No one got the joke. Okay, whatever. Moving on.
Literally, I just googled pedantic, and the first thing I read is an insulting word used to describe someone who annoys others by correcting small errors. I don't
That's
correct
you.
small errors. I do not. What Y'all small are- error do I correct? Y'all are hyenas.
Midnight.
Right?
Midnight. Do I need to go get Steve?
See, someone got it.
Wait. Creation myths, Dr. Dan. All of my objections are philosophical objections, not empirical objections. I can grant. Now, listen to me, Dr. Dan, very carefully. I will grant every empirical study you want, right? Because my objection is purely philosophical. So it's totally within my field. If anything, you're outside your domain. I dare you to respond to that.
Philosyphilis?
What?
Philosyphilis. I think he said philosyphilis. I don't know. Maybe I misheard him. Philosophy of biology. Interesting. Our paper, Is a Cell Really a Machine? We're going to play the third part tonight.
Or is it the biosophy of philology?
Yeah, philosyphilis. Anyway, it's about the philosophy of biology.
Okay, since y'all changed the subject to something empirical, I'm gone. Y'all have a good one. I have to put on clothes. I was naked the whole time, so
right.
y'all can imagine
Right.
that.
That paints a cool picture, I guess.
Take care, Danny.
Hey, don't take after Gavin, Danny.
So as soon as I
not a
start
good
talking,
idea.
as soon as I mention the actual issues with the philosophy of biology, Danny says, "Oh, you changed it to something empirical." What the fuck?
Yeah, it's definitely.
Oh.
I guess it's
He
empirical
was-
too.
I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
he was
all
just
that-
saying the fact. He was just saying the fact that he was leaving was empirical because he showed it.
Wait, hold on. How long has Otangelo been going off like this in the side chat? I have not been paying attention.
Oh,
Holy
Dan's
shit.
I haven't either.
Yeah, he's more random shit when we're not talking about him or to him. Shit.
I forgot he was there. Oops.
I know. What do we do?
I tried to forget he was there. It worked.
Now now Danny is going after
More or
Jerry.
less.
Wait, he's going after asking Jerry, do you think there is a difference between drama and meta? Oh my. Did we not? When have I ever been pedantic?
Okay.
You want to talk about the difference between drama and meta?
Is there a similarity between them?
I love these get-togethers. Okay.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
So Danny seems a little butthurt that we're pushing back on him so much and we're attacking him. But I don't quite understand what he's talking about because he came in here and it's like, okay, if a little wet weasel showed up, drug himself out of the stream where he fell from a branch, and he plopped in the middle of a wild pack of hungry hyenas and started poking them, what would happen?
Yeah. Well, this comes back to what I was saying before about, Danny's kind of straddling two worlds there. And I applaud him for it. The fact that he's, willing to come in here and have those conversations. But yeah, it's probably going to be occasionally stressful for him. That's kind of to be expected. And, the stuff he was pointing out, things that he thinks that, that people are, disagreeing with him on or getting after him about. Yeah, they probably would.
For those that might have
those
missed it.
things, but that's not about him. That's about those things.
Okay, for somebody who might have missed it.
Y'all are hyenas, right? Y'all are hyenas.
He's talking about us last night.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
Danny's Town.
Well,
Does he not realize that?
Yeah, I heard that replay earlier, and I've also heard him say things along those lines in the past. And And I get where he's coming from, but like I said, and like you sort of just point out, he has sort of, stepped into the hyena pack, and in that sense, and the only reason the hyenas aren't attacking each other is because they see eye to eye in a sense,
You
and
smell fresh meat.
Oh, sorry, Dak.
I mean, when he starts talking about, for example, saying that that natural selection doesn't work, and I'm not saying that he said that exactly, but I mean to say something along such lines in a group of people who don't see a problem with natural selection. He's probably going to get some disagreement, but it's not so much. It's not because it's him. It's because it's the thing that he's in a group of people, the majority of which don't see things the same way. And I personally think that it's good that he's allowed in the group to talk about such things. And I think where possible, we should give him the space to do so. But at the same time, it might be a little rough for him from time to time, and if he's going to be in that group, that's something he'll probably have to put up with. The same as when I chose to go in Otangelo's show yesterday, I expected exactly what I got, and I stuck around for I think an hour before I finally left, and I left because I got what I was expecting to, and I gave him that hour to to try to not be that way. Now in the chat, he told me that he must have made an error as a moderator. He's not perfect, and I told him I'll consider that explanation.
Really quickly, just to answer a question that Midnight asked me on Twitter.
I think Jay wanted to say.
I guess never mind.
Okay,
Oh,
Jay wanted to say.
Answer the question, or go ahead.
Well, yeah, it was to take 10 seconds. It was Randolph Richardson when I cited how the FDP defines how atheism should be construed in the normative sense, and then he called it opinion, and then I pointed out that it's literally the world's foremost peer-reviewed philosophical journal, and then he doubled down that no, it's opinion. I'm just blown away. It's literally like arguing that Nature Journal is opinion, or that the Astrophysical Journal letters are opinion, or that any other peer-reviewed journal is opinion. It's just, I really don't know what to say.
Well, Leo,
really
end me now because that's retarded.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to like philosophy, but it's a peer-reviewed journal nonetheless.
I love philosophy.
Let me just point out something. Now Danny will come in and say something about science, and then we'll start to push back and we'll start to talk about it. And then he'll run to philosophy. And then as soon as he can't support some thing that he said, he starts to try to support it by going to the definitions. And then eventually he will start saying, oh, well, this is philosophy. And it's like, no, it wasn't. Originally, you were talking to a bunch of scientists about science. And you made a statement, and we wanted to talk about that statement. So he keeps going into these meta layers outward. And he did it last night when he was trying to defend morality to the Christians. And they were very confused by it because he was, I mean, and so my suggestion for Danny is that he consider how he's communicating.
Well, the problem is that most theists, especially Christians, are moral objectivists, and Danny, like me, is a moral subjectivist.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they were confused.
Well, the other thing, I was going to tack on to what Dak was saying earlier was that one of the things I find about Danny is he uses there's these key words, like he'll say, destroyed the conversation, I'm being attacked. Those are very hyperbolic terms. If you're coming into streams like this, and this goes also to what Speed was saying, and you're receiving pushback, that's not necessarily a personal attack against you. Now, people may poke you by the way that you're presenting your information, by the way you're defending yourself. But when you start using those hyperbolic terms, destroyed and attack, I always find that very, unnecessary, because it's like nobody's being destroyed here. Nobody's argument's been literally just been blown out, blown away or anything like that. It's just.
Did Jerry not hit the nail on the head here with this comment?
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
Wait, hold on.
No,
Hold
hold
on.
on.
We'll put that up again.
ahead,
Put that
go
up
ahead.
again.
What? Oh, okay. I'm not going to be able to find him midnight.
With-
Anyways,
with respect to
yeah,
with respect to morality and how it's viewed by many theists, it's understandable that they run into questions like, if you don't believe in a God, how can you have morality? Because what they mean by that is, if you don't believe in a God, then how can you do the things that God tells you to do?
Yeah. Tangelo comment. I'm sorry, this is really dumb, and I'll explain why. If morals are subjective, then there can be no morals at all. That's like saying, well, if taste is subjective, then taste doesn't exist at all. No, taste exists, but people can disagree on whether something tastes good or bad.
Okay,
or
I couldn't help
sweet or
myself.
salty or something.
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah,
I
well,
could not help myself.
That's basically what I just said.
Daddy's here yelling. He's
I
yelling.
could not help myself.
Let
So
it
much
go off.
stupidity.
Go
So
watch
much
the movie. Go watch the movie with your girlfriend.
Go
What the
be
fuck are
with
you
your
doing back?
girlfriend. Go be with your girlfriend. We got to meet
Danny,
again.
you really need to go with your girlfriend. You do not want to make her late. That
Yeah,
is
you're
her-
gonna fucking be late for the movie. Go away. Come on,
Or
we're talking about you.
maybe he lied about it.
No. So first of all, Speed, what you just
relationship.
nonsense, right? What you just said, Speed, was utter nonsense, right? When
Oh
I
my
give
God.
a conceptual
Get
argument,
the fuck out of
look,
here, Danny. I'm gonna have to remove you.
what are you going to talk more shit behind my back?
Yes.
Yeah, fuck
Well,
yeah.
then let
That's
me
why we got rid of you.
I should have the right.
Or
I
in,
should have the right to
or in
defend
front of your
myself.
back.
I should have the right to defend myself.
We
right?
figured you were probably still listening in the live chat, so we weren't.
Well, I told you I was putting I was listening
Hey.
audibly. I had to put on clothes. Okay, I said that.
Your
Okay.
Yeah, but
girlfriend is
don't-
on
we
a
weren't
dating
talking
app
about
Don't make
right
yourself
now.
late over it. Don't make yourself late over it, Danny. You can come back in tomorrow, and
Too much.
No, he
shit.
came back in here because it's bros before hoes. So that's
Not even bros. It's idiots before hoes. Okay.
Wait, you're not calling your girlfriend up? I ain't going there.
To what Speed said. To what Speed said.
For her.
Can you even regurgitate one argument that I've given?
Fuck no.
Exactly. Okay.
Well,
I
give me fucking time, and I will.
What? No.
It wouldn't. It
No,
wouldn't
I'm not
look the same if it was
I'm not
regurgitated
asking-
anyway.
I'm
Oh
not
my
asking.
fucking Christ,
I'm
what
not
is going
sorry,
on?
Sorry,
Danny?
I'm not asking for you to reply to one of my arguments. I'm asking you to just construe one of my arguments. One of them.
Steel man.
Okay, Danny. That would be impossible because you're not very
Yeah.
good at presenting your fucking argument.
Okay, so you don't know my arguments. So when you're making all these claims about how silly my arguments are and
That's
how they
all
won't
I
apply,
said.
you have no idea what you're talking about because you don't even know my arguments.
I said I didn't. I said my criticism was that you're not very good at presenting.
You're not
your
good at
fucking
interpreting this because you're so dense that you don't understand.
I couldn't interpret your argument.
The
Okay,
blame falls on you,
Okay,
not
so,
me.
Okay, so you can find me. Go find me a timestamp and a video where you actually presented an actual argument about natural
I
selection.
remember one.
Natural selection.
Yes,
I don't want to hear it.
I
No,
remember.
Danny,
Let me give you the answer. Let me give you the answer.
No, here's the problem, Danny. Shut up. Okay, the problem, Danny, is that your girlfriend is right now. She's on a dating app looking for another guy, and you need to go.
Look, if
because
this is
it's
your
gonna-
way of escaping, I'm not buying it. Right? Listen.
Yeah,
to
he
what
wants
I
to
said.
No, Danny, we're trying to be nice to you because you got something important to deal with right now, and
I don't need your
seriously,
concern trolling.
communication.
I do not need your concern
Communication,
trolling right
Danny?
now. I do not need your concern
Danny?
trolling right now. I'm talking now. Let me reply
Danny?
to his question. Let me reply to his question.
Just let me say this: communication is two-way.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
There
Okay.
is a sender and a receiver.
I'm sorry.
It's not one side's
I'm
fault
sorry.
or the other if
I'm
it fails.
sorry. I'm answering his question. Okay, here's the response. I said that there can't be any theory that can differentiate between coextensional traits with respect to organisms being surviving and reproducing. So let's hear what's wrong with that argument. Okay, or that's the
Repeat it,
claim.
please.
Do you understand the claim in the first place?
Could you repeat it, please?
May I interject here? Real quick?
No scientific unified theory can differentiate between a coextensional trait and the trait of interest in terms of what explains selection. No theory can do that. Now, let's say, number one, that was just a claim. That was just a claim. Let's say exactly.
I don't see any way of understanding exactly what that is meant without having to ask for further clarification.
Right, and I spent
And-
an
and-
hour explaining it to Speed, and he was too dense to get it. And then he goes behind my back and says, Danny doesn't make any sense. He's operating outside the wrong framework, blah, 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 when he doesn't understand shit.
We are
Right.
live.
Danny
We are
doesn't
live.
make any sense.
It's not behind your back. And Jay wanted to say
Yeah.
something.
I want
Yeah, Danny, if you can, Danny,
Hold
if
on,
you can
hold
break
on,
that
hold on,
down
hold on,
into
hold on,
sub
hold on,
parts,
hold on,
it
hold
might
on.
make it easier for people to
Dan.
understand.
Jay was
Man.
next. Jay was next.
Jay
Jay was-
has been trying to go for a while.
I was just
okay?
going to say,
Please.
I was just going to suggest we can all be pedantic and talk about the definition of the term snowflake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, you're another
Danny?
memer. You and Midnight are like partners in crime with the memes, right? You don't contribute
Danny?
nothing.
He's the Joker. I'm a fucking
Danny?
pixie. Whatever. You know, it's
Appropriate.
Danny,
Yes, Danny.
Memes.
Danny,
What memes have I used?
Danny,
You
Danny.
just memed.
If I may, Danny, what I would suggest is something like that. If you can find a way to write it down to where you can present a part of it and another part of it and another part of it, it might make it easier to understand. And I would really suggest not trying to do this right now and ending up late for
I'm
your
not going
date.
to do it right now,
you
but I
know.
just want to say my respect for you, Dak, is so much higher than Speed's right now. Because Speed, I mean, he asked my
Yeah,
argument.
Speed's respect for me isn't that high.
Speed,
No, it's pretty high
Speed.
compared to Danny.
you're gonna be
Speed.
late.
Speed, when I there's a clip, I'll get the clip, right? Speed said the photos argument was nonsense. Then I asked him, well,
Yep.
what's your reply to the co-extensionality problem? And he didn't ever understand it. You can't understand
Yeah.
photos argument against natural selection
Well-
if you don't even understand what a co-extensionality means, right?
Yeah, well, I can't say that it was nonsense, but I can say it didn't make sense to me. And
That's fair,
you know,
that's
like I
fair.
said, if you break it down, maybe it will. So
That's fair. What was
yeah.
unfair is Speed because he thinks that it doesn't make sense to him. Therefore, it's nonsense. That doesn't.
yeah,
Fuck you,
it
Danny.
probably was a short form of saying it was nonsense to him.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
say something really quick. Honestly, if I would, if I
Anyway,
was
let him
Danny's
get to
girlfriend-
his date.
Hang on. If I was Danny's girlfriend, I'd dump him for making me late to the fucking movie.
I would too.
He's got like 5 minutes.
Uh,
I threw him on out of here. Anyway, I'm sure he's still listening. So Danny, basically we talked today and I tried to schedule a one-on-one with you where we can go over this stuff calmly and carefully, the
Yeah, don't even bother.
co-extensionality problem, and we can find out if there really is anything to it, because I read the 20 odd pages in Fodor and I could not get any traction on it at all. It seemed like
That helps.
nonsense. It seemed like nonsense to me.
yeah, I just
So,
hope he's not late, because I think that's more important than than sticking in here and taking care of that right now. That that could,
no, I threw him
again-
out. I tossed him out because he was just picking. He was just
Yeah,
fucking
again,
mad at me.
if I was his girlfriend, I'd be like, you wasted, you made us late because
Because you're mad because somebody criticized you because
Danny.
I criticized his method.
and I
Danny.
really love Jay's comment.
Danny, if you're still listening, there's no makeup sex for fighting with us.
Exactly.
no.
Take that meme and do what you will.
Ah.
He's going to be on all the streams tonight talking about the hyenas. I know. Until the wee hours of the morning, his girlfriend's going to fucking leave him.
I don't even think he's actually going to the movies. Honestly, he was just getting too frustrated.
He's going to tell him, "Fuck off! I'm going with somebody else."
My wife,
Speed,
my wife was a
Otangelo-
psychologist, and she was getting triggered by the things Danny was saying.
Speed. Otangelo says in the comments to you, he says, you are way the nicest guy on the planet. How can somebody be mad with you?
I know.
He's
I
just trying to
know.
butter you up so you'll let him back on.
I'm such a nice guy. Otangelo, your other account your Otangelo Grasso account is no longer blocked on this channel, so I don't understand what the problem was. I think go try it again and see if it works.
Oh, I was going to say, can somebody? Can
He maybe
somebody
just didn't
share
switch back because it's a bother to switch back.
Jay?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh,
I was
Otangelo
gonna say,
says he knows.
At some time, somebody share their screen and show exactly how you unhide someone or unblock someone using YouTube Studio, because he seemed to be having a difficult time trying to unblock someone. I don't know if there was maybe a language barrier. I explained it a couple times. It wasn't a big deal if he's still having difficulty with it or not. But I told him specifically, if you don't have anyone in the hidden users of your YouTube community settings, you don't have anyone blocked. So
Yeah, no, apparently he was unblocked, though Tangelo says he knows. He just, hasn't switched back.
What's the
well, I was
saying?
talking about for him to be able to unblock people because he said he's got people that are blocked that he couldn't unblock. So
Hey guys.
Yeah, well, he did say he thought he had unblocked Otangelo and that, apparently didn't. I'm just saying, maybe he had. So
I am going to step out for about 4 minutes, so you guys have at it by yourselves, okay?
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
to set up a video.
all right, all chaos is probably going to break loose, but okay.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
If I may ask, called YouTube Studio, is that some separate deal you get? Is it like an application?
no, YouTube Studio. No, YouTube Studio. Like if you're in YouTube, you can click on your icon and it'll say you can go to YouTube Studio right there.
It says your
And that's
channel
where-
purchases memberships in YouTube Studio.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a feature.
I'll look for it.
It's
a
not going to
feature,
be
not a
it's not
bug.
going to be useful if you're not much of a content creator.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if
Is it
you have-
available from the phone or not? But I know it is on a computer.
Yeah, it's
you can,
available.
you
on
can
the phone.
download the app. You can download the app for your phone. But yeah,
Okay, so on a phone it is an app then.
Yeah, YouTube Studio is if you're not a content creator, but the only thing YouTube Studio really matters if you block someone in a live chat or on YouTube, that's where you have to go is those YouTube settings or community and go to your hidden users and remove them.
It has other features as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still has. They had an editor for a while and then they took it away and they were working on a new one. I think they put the new one in and I don't know, from there. Haven't looked into the details, but yeah, it's got a bunch of different features. Most people don't use most of them.
Yeah. But as far as you being able to block and remove moderators too, I mean, you can do it. You can remove someone's moderation when they're in the live chat. You can also go to those YouTube Studio settings community, and you can remove your moderators from the list of moderators you have there.
Yep, and you can also use it to look up statistics on which videos are getting how many views and how long people are viewing them on the average, as opposed to just being there and gone and stuff like that.
Well, that's
But yeah.
cool. We'll explore it.
So, has everybody seen my website or forum on Speed's website?
I think I visited it once or twice.
Yeah, okay. I think I had the link up at one point, but it's
I
on
can't
that
read
scienceandnaturalism.com, and you guys should talk about that. It actually, you've got some nice links out there. The one on philosophy goes to a big site, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
I'm uploading a video.
How does that usually take? Is it slow?
It takes about 20, 30 minutes, and I just have to get it started. So I just got it started. It's uploading now. So 6 p.m. tonight, we're going to do the third part of the Is the Cell a Machine? And then
Well, you can play if you have do you have the files on your computer?
Yeah. I
You can
uploaded it.
share an app. You can share a program. You can share Windows Media Player and share it on StreamYard.
Yeah, I
You
know
don't
I
have
could.
to Okay.
I know I just didn't want to, because
Gotcha. Okay.
this way it all happens automatically, and if I want, I can go and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
We're going to try to be in the chat, and talking to people. I would like to get we're getting very low views on it because I guess us reading the paper is not very entertaining, but I would like to have some discussions about, is the cell really a machine? Maybe another show or something, and just sit down if anybody has digested the paper. So it would be cool.
Well,
I would just like to throw in there. I actually enjoyed when you guys were going through that paper like that. So I mean, I don't know how other people will feel about it, but just for the record, I enjoyed when you were going over that paper and reading through it and everything. I thought that was good content. So just
good.
throwing that
Okay.
out there.
Okay, well, thanks. Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
I think hyena number 3. I think you need to change the brackets there. Should with engorged genitals, not inflated.
Yes.
Inflated sounds painful.
Engorged.
I apologize.
That's kind of helpful feedback that people appreciate there. Okay. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
because we did a lot of work on it. What did we spend about 5 hours on that? Doing that shit, 6 hours, something like that.
Like it.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but maybe it would be better if we interleaved illustrations and maybe talked a little bit more about the different sections as we go through. But we're going to try to get better at it. We're going to go through a big abiogenesis paper, and I think it is going to be too challenging for us. What is it called, Scott?
The hot springs. Let's see. Yeah, the hot springs. Something of origin of life.
It is the hot springs
Palmer,
hypothesis.
Can anybody link it in the private chat?
Oh fuck. Okay. Why private chat? Why would we do that?
So that I don't have to go all the way over to the YouTube app and scroll and try to find it. It's just easier. It's more accessible.
Yeah, I can link it. Hang on a sec. I got to find it. I've got the paper sitting here. It's called the hot spring hypothesis for an origin of life by Bruce Damer and David Deamer. So Bruce Damer, maybe.
Yeah, it's an astrobiology journal. I guess January of 2020. I don't know. I can't remember the date.
Let me find it here. Oh my God! What just happened? What the fuck? It switched over to right in the middle. Oh my God!
Hey Jay,
Yeah.
check Discord.
Uh-oh. Somebody just brought up Gavin.
Oh no!
Oh God.
What Discord server are y'all in?
No, it was just a direct message.
It's a direct message on Discord. Oh, okay.
Okay, there's a PDF download for this paper on NCBI. So this is the next paper we're going to cover. It's like 17 pages long, and it has 8 pages of citations at the end of it. It's got, I don't know how many they got on the page. Probably about 400 citations, something like that.
But it does have some pretty pictures.
It has a couple of pretty pictures, which are really cool. So anyway, it's a PDF download is available, so you can download freely. I got it right here. You can hear it. You can hear it.
Yeah, is this the one you printed off?
I print them all off, but yeah, I printed it off. Yeah, yeah. You can print the PDF. So, what else happening? It's 10-2, guys. God, you guys are really quiet without Danny around. But he got a little pissed. He got a little pissed off when I criticized his method of argumentation.
I mean, a little pissed off. Like I've been.
Lena.
What?
Lena Powell in the chat quoted to me what it was that he had said, and so I just I just responded back with my translation of what that is. If anyone's interested, my understanding of what she was saying that he said is that the theory which can better distinguish between traits that are traits being positively selected for that are equally distributed is the better theory. So basically, if you've got 2 different theories to determine which trait is being positively selected for, and the traits are about equally distributed, the theory that does a better job of that is the better theory. I think that's basically what he was saying.
Well, the problem is I was asking Otangelo this, I think, yesterday on a live chat. What would be the problem of a god using abiogenesis?
Exactly. What did he
None
answer?
whatsoever.
See?
Oh,
So I
yes,
don't see what-
because he
I don't-
created humans. He created humans, right?
Well, I mean, but the things that, I mean,
Whether he did or
the problem
didn't wouldn't
is-
change that.
yeah,
Well,
the problem
Jake-
with the lack of reduction, the lack of the ability to take your mind all the way back. Predominantly, everything, for the most part, consists of atoms and what atoms are made of, which is right. So these atoms come together, they form certain things, they do certain things, and certain things come about, and some things don't come about. Whatever, without getting into any complicated jargon. So what's the problem with abiogenesis if a god decides to say, "Fuck it, I'm going to see this. I'm going to have things come about this way."
Yeah, I think the closest thing anyone could really find to a problem with that is only the fact that that it would be unnecessary. It would be redundant with a god, because a god could just magically poof things into existence. But at the same time, that's assuming that the god is infinitely powerful, which is actually, a self-contradictory thing. So anybody who recognizes that being infinitely powerful, being absolutely all-powerful, is a logical contradiction, should accept that if they believe in a god, that god can't be, in that sense, all-powerful, and therefore it would actually make sense for God to use something like that, because for their God to use something like that, because it would be the easier way for a not quite all-powerful God to do it.
Yeah, he could just be playing around, right? Just be like, hey, if I made these things from my mind, let's roll them around together and see what else I can get from these things.
The place where
well, I mean, an all-powerful God would already know the outcome to that, so he wouldn't have to play around. That's why I say for an all-powerful God, it makes no sense. There's nothing to prohibit it, of course, but it just, for an all-powerful God, doing anything at all makes no sense.
But not if he turns
because they already know it all. They've already got all the knowledge.
Yeah, but not if he relegates himself to his middle knowledge just to have a little fun.
I think. Okay.
Meaning that a piece of an all-powerful God could do, yeah. So yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at it, it makes more sense that a God would do it than that a God wouldn't. If you consider the possibilities of, like you said, an all-powerful God using part of what he can do, or a not quite all-powerful God using what he can do. Anyway, Leo, I think, is waiting to say something. I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Go ahead.
So the problem with God using abiogenesis is that, number one, then God becomes superfluous. It's like saying, well, fairies don't make magnets stick together. Fairies use electromagnetism to make them stick together, which means that we don't need fairies. Secondly, it doesn't leave a gap for them to insert their God into, because we could just explain it through abiogenesis. They need that gap. They have to have
but that's a problem for. But that's a problem for believers, not a problem for God.
Yeah, but Leo, since you just said that, now read Otangelo's most recent.
Right. Okay. Now the thing is that God could have done it any damn way he wants, because God can do all possible things and not impossible things. And one of the possible things that God could have done is he could have created this expansion in the universe, setting everything up just so that everything was created by abiogenesis and evolution, and that is what science is finding. And there is no problem with that. And that doesn't mean that the whole God argument is off the table because we don't need it, except for those of us who do not need it. They can still come up with their biblical Christ is risen bullshit and say that a miracle happened, when Christ arose and all that. They can do anything they want. There is, in fact, people like Cy Gart don't have any problem with trying to figure out where exactly it happened. He's very honest about that. He's an old earth creationist. So anyway, I wanted to point out the coextensive problem with Danny, but that's probably a long discussion. Danny and I are going to get into it. And the thing that I did not understand about the coextension problem is that he was talking about a heart and the fact that a heart made a thumping noise. And Fodor was too, and he had a bunch of examples that when you run them against the biologist's first thought is, "What in the fuck are you going on about?" I mean, that's where the problem was set up. And then I'm like, okay, let's come up with a better example, like two linked genes or something like that. Or
yeah, I don't see where the heart thumping would fit into that either. I'd have to know more of the context if. To find any sense in that, if there is any. There probably was, but it might have been. It's possible. Again, I missed the conversation. It's possible that there was sense in it, but that he didn't get all of it out there for other people to see. It was internal.
I come up with a way to make sense of it. Okay, so if all of a sudden there was a predator that had super good hearing, then heart thumping would all of a sudden become a real disadvantage. So
yeah.
And we could look at that, but then I think what he was saying is that natural selection is supposed to explain why one phenotype is around and another one is not, And that isn't quite what natural selection is about, I don't think.
No,
So-
it's not. Out of the options that become available to natural selection, yes, but we have we have no guarantee that any particular option will become
Right.
available to natural selection.
Yeah, and I think that's and somehow he was saying, "Oh, we got to throw natural selection out because we can't decide between thumping and pumping blood." And I'm like, "Okay, what the fuck are you saying?" It's like,
Yeah, well,
so it takes a little more fleshing out.
If a smooth pumping, here's the thing: if you had that predator with the super hearing and could hear beating hearts, but if no smooth pumping managed to evolve, and if no smooth pumping mutations happened that made the heart quieter but still just as effective, then there wouldn't be any way to select such things because the option to select them wouldn't be there for natural selection to act on, and so they still wouldn't. The thing that never happened would never become more prevalent than the thing that did.
Yeah, that's why it's better to look at, rather than select for, it's better to look at select against. And most of the arguments that have been leveled against Podar and his totally debunked theory from like 2000 to 2008 is that.
The key to that whole thing is the last word of what he said. The key to that whole thing is, are they coextensive? And if you're talking about a heart that pumps blood and makes a noise doing it, and a heart that smoothly pumps blood and does so silently, they're not coextensive.
If not, then I don't know what they're. Okay,
Leo's waiting.
Oh, go ahead, Leo.
So, Tangelo said abiogenesis is impossible. Has anybody ever heard a logical contradiction with abiogenesis occurring in the natural world given?
Abiogenesis has been done in a lab more than once, so no, it's not impossible. And no, I know of no contradictions.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually been done in the lab.
Yes,
when
several
you say
kinds of it
that,
have been.
You worry me, Dak. There's a lot more to figure out, and
Angelo, I can see that your God exists. Now stop talking.
his God is weak because he can't do impossible things. Screw God who can't do impossible things. Well, wait a minute. Rising from the dead is impossible. We can do that.
Yeah, we haven't
physically impossible.
We haven't made humans from dirt in a lab or from dust and breathed the breath of life into them. We haven't made unicellular life in a lab from completely inorganic materials, or for that matter, from inorganic non-life materials. So yeah, we haven't done certain kinds of abiogenesis, but the kinds of abiogenesis necessary to get Darwinian evolution, so to speak, happening in a biological substrate that could end up producing life like we have now. Several different kinds of that have been done in a lab. We don't know which, if any of those, was the one that actually resulted in us.
Yeah, and the other problem is, and to go along with that, it goes back to everything. If you believe that God is necessary, a particular deity is necessary for the creation of all things, he would have had nothing to build with. Literally willed the things that make up everything into
he would have had to rip himself apart to make something out of himself, because otherwise he's making something out of nothing, which is,
Yeah, and there are those.
What do you need God for then, if something can come from nothing?
Yeah, if you're like Praise, you're a subjective idealist in which you believe that basically all of reality, we exist in the mind of God. Everything that we experience is just within the mind of this deity. This reality is just a conceptual reality inside the mind of a God.
Yeah,
in which case he's a sadist.
It gets problematic, yes. Yeah.
I don't even know if anybody heard what I just said.
I didn't. I heard parts of it, sorry.
Philosophy.
I said inspiring. I said that inspiring philosophy believes the same thing, and like Praise doesn't have a solid understanding of quantum mechanics.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like
that's an understatement.
If you're a painter, you take a paintbrush and you take some paints and you dab a little pieces here and there until you get a painting. But if you're an all-powerful God, you can throw paint from across the room. You can throw paint at the canvas, and every droplet will twirl around and land at just the right place, and you'll have a wonderful painting. And I don't understand why these creationists are so fucking crazy about denying science, why they just don't accept that God did it like that.
Well, this
I
is,
do have
this
a
is-
question for Otangelo because he says, in the same sense as a watchmaker is required to make a watch,
Yeah, I
I'm
was
not going to read the rest. But what I want to know is, by watch, does he mean something which can tell time? Because then that's just a clock.
well, but the thing
watch.
is we have
And the
examples
thing is,
of watch.
I was about to say, there are naturally occurring clocks, and astrophysicists use them all the fucking time.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I never liked the watchmaker because we have observations of what watchmakers do, and watchmakers make watches using existing materials in order to create a watch, right? And we don't have examples of gods making the pieces that make the watch. That's what you have to get through your head, Otangelo. The god that you're talking about didn't just have existing parts to make a watch. He made all the parts that make up the parts that make the watch.
Yeah, totally different than a watchmaker. I don't know. Anyway,
Unless
One
God
of
is
the
just a program that created. Never mind. Same problem.
One of the best examples of a naturally occurring clock is the cesium-133 atom, which is where we get the second from.
I just had a thought. Okay, Danny's going into the movie with his girlfriend, and
I do that once in a while.
they're like getting popcorn, right? And she asks him a question, and he turns around and said, "Fuck you," because he's so pissed off. We got him so riled up that he's going to end up in a fight with her, and it's going to fucking destroy his relationship.
Okay, Speed. If that actually happens, I'm gonna laugh my ass off because you are a prophet.
Then he starts pointing at her. This is your fault.
This is your fault.
Jesus Christ.
He'll say to her, "You don't understand what I'm saying."
Yeah, I should take back. I got to take back. My wife wasn't being triggered by anything he said, but she was very concerned about his temperament.
Yeah. High blood pressure.
Yeah, I was concerned. Hang on
I
a second.
like Danny. I like him, man. He is hilarious.
I mean, honestly, I don't. I just find him adorable. There's a difference.
Find him adore. What do you want to pet him? You want him on a leash? You want to walk him around the neighborhood? That just got weird, didn't it?
Yes, you made it weird, Jay.
That's my job.
Danny on a leash with Leo, as in leather. Is that what we're talking about?
What the fuck?
I didn't bring Leo into it.
Just went in a fucking weird fucking place.
I think we'd have to pay
numeral clock.
I think we'd have to pay Leo some. I think we'd have to pay Leo some certain amount of cash to get him to get into that photo op.
I guess.
Okay. No. I don't want. I don't want to put. I don't want to put Leo in leather. I want to put him in a dress.
Sure, I'll wear a dress, but I'm not wearing leather.
Okay, maybe Midnight will wear the leather and get the lead. But we love you, Danny. We really do. We really appreciate it.
No, we don't. Don't
believe.
Danny.
I like Danny has spiced things up, and he's brought us, and he's gotten us to think about a lot of shit. You got to admit, he has got us to think. So
yeah, he got me. He got me to think about my life choice of coming into the streams.
Yeah, we just have to. we just have to muzzle him. Know that he's got us to think. He's, and he's a hell of a. He knows a lot about philosophy, and he.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. It's interesting,
Yes.
when he talks about us like we're a pack of hyenas. It's interesting if you think about the fact that this is kind of a hyena coming from a different pack of hyenas into this pack of hyenas and recognizing that we're a pack of hyenas.
Well, no,
all to get erections because of fear.
No, Benghazi said it right. Danny's a lamb.
Oh, nice.
Rather than a sheep.
Okay, so it's a pack of sheep. Yeah, you got me on that one. but when they outnumber the hyenas, they act like we're the sheep.
So we got to shoot this thing in the head, guys. It's after 4.
Well, before we leave,
but no, I'm not a hyena though. I'm an ape.
Who wanted to say something?
Well, I'm a
I
lion.
got something good to show for a second for an ending of the stream.
Go ahead.
We are are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us. We are part of this universe. We are in this universe.
Did you make that?
The universe itself exists within us.
Okay.
No, that's Melody too.
Hey, that is a really good outro. We ought to just use that. And on that note, I want to end. I want to end and take us all backstage. So goodbye, cruel world.
Remember,
and
science doesn't have all the answers, but religion has none of them.
what am I supposed to say
Yeah,
after?
goodbye,
cruel-
goodbye, partially cruel world. Keep trying to be less cruel.
Goodbye, Tin Man.
Oh.
Goodbye. I'll miss you the most, Scarecrow.
Oh, I know what I want to say. Life sucks, but it feels good. Ending.